Have you ever wondered what makes one argument convincing while another one just falls flat? Well, the secret isn't about shouting the loudest. It's about having the right tools. And that's exactly what logic is, a powerful toolkit for thinking. It's the hidden framework behind everything, from scientific discoveries to just winning a debate with a friend. So today, we're going to open up that toolkit and see what's inside.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll get a handle on what logic actually is. Then we'll break down how arguments are built from the ground up. We'll get into the two major ways our brains connect ideas, check out the difference between logic on paper versus logic in the real world, and finally, my favorite part, we'll learn how to spot the common mistakes that make an argument totally crumble.
All right, let's dive right in. When we talk about logic, what are we really talking about? It's way more than just a gut feeling that something makes sense. No. It's a whole system with its own rules, all designed to figure out what makes reasoning correct.
We all try to make good arguments, right? But what's the difference between a flimsy one and one that's rock solid? It has absolutely nothing to do with who's got the loudest voice. The real secret sauce is in the structure of the argument itself. And that brings us to the core definition. Logic is the study of correct reasoning. Now, the key thing to get is that it's less about whether your final point is true and more about how you got there. It asks one simple, crucial question. Do your starting points actually support your conclusion? So how do we build one of these things? Turns out, it's surprisingly simple. Every single argument you'll ever see, no matter how complicated, is built from just two basic parts: premises and a conclusion. And listen, this is a really important point. In logic, an argument isn't a shouting match. It's not a fight. It's a structured journey. You start with statements you believe are true. Those are your premises. And you use them to build a bridge to your final point, the conclusion. Let's make this super clear with a simple example. Premise 1, it's Sunday. Okay, we accept that. Premise 2, which is a rule. If it's Sunday, then I don't have to work. If we accept both of those as true, then the conclusion, I don't have to work, is basically guaranteed. See? That's the structure right there. Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting. Not all reasoning follows the same path. There's a huge split in how we connect those premises to a conclusion, and it all comes down to a trade-off. Do you want an answer that's absolutely certain, or do you want to discover something brand new? So on one side, you have deductive reasoning. Think of it like a math problem. If your starting numbers, your premises, are correct, the answer is 100% guaranteed to be correct. It's locked in. On the other side, you have amplitative reasoning. This is more like being a detective. You take the clues you have and you make an educated leap to a new idea. It's likely, but it's not a sure thing. Check out this classic deductive argument. 1. All frogs are amphibians. 2. No cats are amphibians. Therefore, it's impossible for a cat to be a frog. The conclusion is totally unavoidable. But notice, we didn't really learn anything new, did we? That conclusion was already hiding inside the premises. Now compare that to this. Your premise is your own experience. Every single raven I have ever seen in my life has been black. From that, you conclude, therefore, all ravens everywhere must be black. Whoa, that is a huge leap, a brand new claim about the world. And it's probably true. But you can't be 100% certain until you've seen every raven in existence. This is basically how science works, making bold, probable leaps based on evidence. Okay, so we've got these different styles of reasoning, but how do we actually analyze them? Well, our logic toolkit has two main trays, you could say. You've got formal logic and informal logic. Formal logic is like the architect's blueprint. It uses symbols to look at the pure, abstract skeleton of an argument. It doesn't care if you're talking about cats or planets. It only cares about the structure. But informal logic? That's the logic of the real world. It jumps right into the messiness of everyday language to figure out what people actually mean. And here's why you should care. You use both of these all the time. Formal logic is the engine running in the background of all our technology. It's the reason your computer works. But informal logic is that trusty multi-tool you need to get through the day, to understand a news report, a debate online, or even just a conversation with your boss. Now, of course, just because somebody makes an argument doesn't mean it's a good one. Knowing the rules is great, but learning to spot when the rules get broken, that's a genuine superpower. And that brings us to the world of fallacies. So what is a fallacy? It's simply a flaw in the reasoning. It's a broken link in the logical chain. And here's the really wild part. An argument can have a major fallacy in it, and the conclusion might still happen to be true by sheer luck.
but the argument itself is still bad because it didn't get there correctly.
You've heard this one a million times, right? This is a classic fallacy called a false dilemma. It's trying to trap you by pretending there are only two options. But hold on, couldn't you be neutral? Or agree with some parts and not others? Life is rarely so black and white, and this argument tries to pretend it is. That's a reasoning flaw.
So why does all this matter? Because learning to spot these fallacies is one of the most important skills you can have in today's world. It's your built-in detector for misinformation and weak arguments, and even better, it helps you make your own arguments stronger and more persuasive.
So, as we wrap up, I'm going to leave you with this to think about. We're flooded with information, with arguments, every single day. So which of these logical tools do you think is the most valuable one to have in your pocket? Is it spotting those sneaky fallacies? Or maybe understanding the risk of making those big amplified leaps? Your toolkit is ready to go. The only question is, how are you going to use it?